Four G and four.
Okay, they're going to give you a little speech before you start moving into the.
Oh, okay.
So, maybe we could take the photo.
G. Okay,
you want glorious thing together.
Oh, yeah.
It is 540 years. We have three main castles in Ghana. We have the Christian Walk Castle at Accra, Osu, built by the Danes, 1661. We have the English Castle or the Cape Coast Castle, built by the British, 1665. And we have this very castle, built by the Portuguese, 1482. Now the Europeans named the land they visited according to whatever they discovered. For instance, we had the name Gold Coast, present day Ghana, because they discovered a lot of gold. La Côte d'Ivoire, they discovered a lot of ivory, so they also had the name Ivory Coast. Nigeria, Senegal, Benin, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, they had a lot of slaves, so they also had the name Slave Coast. Now in here, the enslaved Africans were captured all over West African countries. Some from Nigeria, Benin, Senegal, Mali, Togo, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Gold Coast, present day Ghana. Now when they are captured, they were made to walk barefoot from wherever they were captured down to this castle. They walked through bushes, climbed mountains, crossed rivers, walked through several slave markets. Upon arrival, they had a stopover at a place called Asim Mansu, one of the busiest slave markets. There is a river there called Asim Mansu Slave River, where these enslaved Africans were allowed to take their last African bath. They gave them food. Those who were old enough had their heads shaved with broken bottles. They applied shea butter or palm oil on their skins to look fresh and attractive. So in here, they will attract higher prices. From there, they continued the journey down to this castle. They were separated according to their strength. The weak ones were termed as domestic captives, and the strong ones were termed as commercial captives. Now the domestic were those working inside the castle, and and the commercial ones were those who were taken to the Americans and the Caribbeans to work on their plantation. From there, they were branded for easily identification. The Europeans went in for the said branded irons. Beneath the iron were the initials, the names, the symbols of the slave masters. Some were JSs, simply John Smith slaves. Branded iron dipped into hot fire, right from fire, the chest, shoulder, or back, just to identify them. From there, they were put to their respective dungeons. Now, from here, we walk through the dungeons. But then, if there is any question, you ask before we proceed. Alright, so if there is no question, let's see the female slave dungeon.
Well, if this is a Portuguese castle, does that mean that the enslaved people here were going to Portuguese colonies or Brazil?
All right,
How did
so
that work?
I wish
Yeah, on that question, whenever. You'll probably tell us, right?
you get to answer through our presentation. Thank you. So this is the female courtyard. Now in all, we are talking about 1,000 enslaved Africans, where 400 of them were women and the remaining 600 were men. So the 400 women were shared among the rooms down here. Now the coastline of Africa was termed as the white man's grave because of malaria and yellow fever. So the Europeans were afraid coming here with their families and wives. So these enslaved Africans were sexually abused. The governor, because of his position, stands up there, the governor's balcony, ordered the soldiers to open the doors for the slaves. They gather here, he stands up there, choose his choice. If you are chosen, because you'll be in the dungeons for 2 to 3 months without taking your shower, they fetch water from this reservoir, wash you, take you to the governor. Right from bed, you were brought back to the dungeon. Now those who resisted rape were punished. One may ask, how? There is a cannonball right down there, which weighs about 25 kg. That's equivalent to 50 pounds. They put in chains, tie it to your ankle to restrict your movement. So you stand here whether rain or shine. No food, no water for 24 hours, just to serve as a deterrent for those inside. Those who were chosen by the governor never went this direction. They had a secret passage to the governor's residence. So from here, let's see the secret passage. Alright, so females who were chosen by the government, that's where the soldiers will lead them up to the governor's bedroom. Today, you and I cannot move up here because the stairs is not in good condition for you and I. But then I will show you when we move upstairs. So from here, let's have a look at the reservoir. Then from there, we walk through the dungeons. So please let's proceed.
I just went.
The reservoir is very big. So you do want to put your target and alright, so it was built by Portuguese in 1480 to harvest rainwater. So they had pipes connected all over. And that's what they used for domestic purposes, drinking, cooking. But when the Dutch took over in 1637, they were not using this water. They were afraid the Portuguese have poisoned the water. So out of fear, they abandoned this place west, built their own on the main courtyard. But when the British came in, they realized the water wasn't poisoned. So from here, let's walk through the dungeons. Well, this thing held about 120 females. Now, this room happens to be the largest or longest female slave dungeon, which held about 150 enslaved Africans. And everything was done in here. Now, the condition at the male slave dungeon was the same thing in here. And I mean, they were treated equally. They were fed twice a day. They stayed in the dungeons 2 to 3 months. Now the only difference, of which personally I term as the sad difference, females undergo their menstrual cycle every month. And everything was done in here. No cleaning, no washing. The only chance females had to wash or clean themselves was when they are being chosen by the government. Because of that, most of them allowed themselves to be raped because they needed to clean or wash themselves. And out of the rape, most of them got pregnant. Those who were found pregnant were removed from the dungeons. They have stone houses in town where they keep them. You will be there till you deliver. After delivery, you were allowed to take care of the baby for some time with the intention that the local language would be learned. From there, they take the baby from you, they bring them back to the castle. They teach them. These kids grow up, become missionaries, interpreters, soldiers. Now the mother, if you are fortunate, you were brought back to the castle, not the dungeon. So you become a domestic captive. Others were allowed to go back from wherever they were captured. Most of them couldn't trace their roots back. So they stayed in the community. Others came in here volunteered to be domestic captives. Now the floor we are standing on today is not the original floor. But then I will show you the original floor of the dungeons. Now, the hole we see there leads to a magazine. where gunpowders were kept. Now, whenever there is a leakage in there, the air in here will be polluted. Most of these enslaved Africans couldn't contain it, so most of them died. Those who died in here were thrown into the very deep sea. No faith in bed. Any question after this? Alright, let's see the other country. Alright, so this dungeon or this chamber held about 130 females. Now this happens to be the original floor of the dungeons made with bricks, and that's what the enslaved Africans were sleeping on. So meaning today, if we are to remove all these floors, we will find bricks all over. And in this castle, we have two colors of bricks. We have the red bricks and the yellow bricks. Now the red bricks were brought by the Portuguese and the yellow ones were brought by the Dutch. Now apart from this wood up here, and the one we have here, the rest are not original. These are the only original ones left in here. The rest are not original. Now they were made from pitch pine timber. They were all imported. Now the pieces of cloth you see around, including the chains, are also not original. In the year 2015, a group of students came in here to reenact slavery. We call it or term it as the coming back of the slaves. They wanted to demonstrate to us how the enslaved Africans lived in the dungeons. They were not in clothes, so they used those pieces of cloth to cover their private parts, and they stayed in here for 12 hours. After the ceremony, malaria, yellow fever attacked many of them. So imagine staying in here 2 to 3 months. How is the condition going to be? Now the students who came in here, this was their source of light. They put in kerosene. They light a match up here for 12 hours. And also, the bars we have here are not original. So these are wooden bars. This happens to be the original iron bars. Because they are getting old and rusted, we have to replace them with this wooden ones. Over 500 years. And it's still strong. Any question? Alright, let's see. Alright, so when the ships arrived, females who survived the dungeons never went this direction. That's where they marched there. There was a wooden stairs here where they would descend to this dark room called the intersection room. Today, the stairs is no more because of this drainage. So you and I cannot move down here. Now these bars are here to prevent accidents because of school children. So from here, let's use this direction so we can move. So please let's proceed. Alright, so this is the main courtyard. Now all the rooms down below, except this room, initially used to be their warehouses or storerooms where they kept their commodities. But when their attention shifted to human trade, it was all converted to dungeons and it was meant for the male captives. Remember, we just came from the female dungeon. Now all the rooms up here on our left, that was where the missionaries, the merchants were living. Those up there was where the soldiers were living. Above the soldiers was the deputy governor, and the last floor was the governor himself. So this even shows the higher your position, the higher you go. Now the slanted walls we have here, if you get the chance to walk around the castle, you will see a lot of them. We call them buttresses or supporting walls. It was added by the Dutch to strengthen the walls of the castle. The metals on them were fixed by the British when the castle was used as a police training school. So the police would climb up and down in a form of training just to build their muscles. The building at the middle here happens to be the first Portuguese church, built in 1596. It was a Catholic church. Now when the Dutch came in, they were not Catholics, they were Protestants, so they were not using the church. It was divided into two. The upper part was used as soldiers' mess, the down was used as auction hall, where buying and selling of slaves was done. When the British came in, remember, the castle was used as a police training school after the Second World War, and that was the last. When we took over, converted this castle to a tourist attraction. It's now a museum. Now these are some of the yellow bricks I was talking about, built by the Dutch. So from here, let's see one of the mills laid down. Alright, so this is one of the mills in Dungeon. Now we call this area the transit zone. The men who survived, that's where they marched them all. They joined the females at the intersection room before they were taken to the room of no return. Those in here, this was their source of light and ventilation. And the room back there happens to be the private room where those who survived were branded before taken to the new room. From here, let's see the intersection room. And then the room is dark. So you watch your head, you take one step down. So please let's proceed. so that's the intersection room. Remember, the females who survived came out from this area. The men who also survived came out from this area. That's where they could possibly meet, see each other for the very last time. Now that's where from here the question comes in. Now, at this point was where if a family were captured, brought into slavery, they were separated from each other. If they survived, that's where they could possibly meet, see each other for the very last time. Because out there, they were taken to different places. From here, they marched them to the room of no return, where they never returned. Today, you and I are going in there, but then we are assured to return. In fact, return safely. Now the door is very short, so when you bend, you count about 4 steps before lifting your head, so you don't hit your head. So please listen.
Thank you.
This is the room of no return, where no one came in here and went back through the same door. The moment you find yourself in here, this door here will be your exit. And this is the door of no return, the original door of no return. When they were into gold trading, the door was very big, from this angle to this angle. But then when their attention shifted to human trade, it was narrowed to this nature, just to easily count and control the captives, and also to dehumanize the enslaved Africans. Slaves right through this door were taken to the Americans, like Brazil, Jamaica. Some were also taken to the Caribbean countries, like Haiti, Barbados, Suriname. And some were also taken to the European countries, like Liverpool, Manchester, Spain. Initially, the sea was closer to the castle, but because of climate change, it is receding. So the bigger ships couldn't dock ashore. They were docked a few meters away. They used the smaller boats, similar ones, transport the slaves from here to the bigger ships, off to the new. Now, on the middle passage, those who were found weak were thrown off board. Those who were found pregnant were also thrown off board. Some also decided to end everything themselves, rather than being taken to an unknown destination. They were in chains and shackles, 15 on a row. So for instance, if I jump, I pull him in that order. Because we are in chains and shackles, we can't swim, so we all die. Others also starved themselves to death. Now at the New World, the brutality continued. These enslaved Africans were rebranded. They were sold to plantation owners. So there was no point of chance these enslaved Africans would ever have their freedom. The reed flowers you see around were brought by the African Americans to pay homage for their ancestors. And there are some bottles around. Some contain water, others contain alcohol. People come in here to pray, and here they pray by pouring libation. That's why we have them here. Can I answer your question? Any question? Alright, so if there is no question, I guess I have one for you. Now, looking at the size, the nature of the dog, how do you think the fat ones were moving it? Before that, they were all moving sideways. And then do you think if you are that fat, you can move through the dog?
But they wouldn't be fat at that time. They would be fat at that time after 3 months. Okay.
Yeah. Alright. So they knew the condition in here.
Yeah.
Automatically will slim you down.
Yeah.
So you can fit in. Alright, slave trade is no more. You and I are not slaves. So we are not going through this law. So let's watch our heads whilst we move. Before we move, may those who die continue to rest in peace.
Shame.
Let's watch our heads. Watch your head.
Daniel, the other person can't take pictures. Other person want to take pictures. You take a picture already? Okay. Everybody want to take a picture, yeah. You're welcome. Good. All right, so you watch your head? Yeah.
Got your head there.
Alright, so this plaque we have here is written in Old Dutch. It was written by a priest known as A. Andres. A governor came in here named Van Tet. He was from Zealand. He was the last Director General of the Dutch West Indies Company over the north and south of Africa. He came here on the 16th of January, 1758. He died on the 12th of March, same year, at the age of 41. Malaria confirmed killed him, so he was buried here. Now all the priest is saying about him is he was humble, he was kind, he was God-fearing, all the good attributes. Yet still, slave trade was ongoing under his watch. So I'm still wondering the kind of person he was. I'm waiting for the priest to explain things to me. In this castle, we have two separate cells. We have the European cell and the African cell. Why the two separate cells? So let's put in there so we talk about them. So we are in prison now. Alright, so this is one of the cells. And we call this room the European cell. One may ask why the European cell? It was meant for the European soldiers who misbehaved. Some went out without permission. Others also got themselves drunk. Now, if you are caught, you were brought in. Food, water was given. They had sources of ventilation. Now, the door here served as another source of ventilation, which means the door here happens to be the original. Now, after serving your punishment, you move out this way. So from here, let's compare the two cells.
It's started yesterday.
Where are we?
Slide it. Excuse me.
Alright, so this is the African cell or the condemned cell. It was meant for those who tried fighting for their freedom. We call them the freedom fighters or the rebellions. If you are caught, you were brought in here. No food, no water, no light, no or little ventilation. No one came in here and went out alive. So personally, I call this room the room of no return. The moment you are brought in here, that's the end of your life. Maximum 50 enslaved Africans were brought in here. Compared to that of the European cell, maximum 5 soldiers were put in there. Now, these holes we have here are called peep holes, where every morning soldiers will peep through, check those who are dead in here, pack them out, throw them into the very deep sea. Today, slave trade is no more. You and I are not slaves. I don't want anybody to die in me. So let's return.
Oh, thanks, Jim.
Os africanos não texto Hemnoft, culto europeia, vai africanos, vai
That was like unbearable, and they were just hanging out.
Yeah, this is heavy. Free on a couple of books.
Oh, yeah.
Let's enjoy the breeze.
Yeah, we're here. Here you come.
So please, you wait here.
Push you.
Oh, there are those stairs, God.
As you can have a look. So this is a secret passage to the governor's residence on chambers.
Oh, so this is a governor's place,
No. That's just the secret passage. So from here, you move straight to the governor's bedroom. So from here, let's see the governor's bedroom. Right, so this one.
Safety first.
Really quite something.
Because of his outfit. And he had a living room as well. So from here, let's see the living room. We take one step down. governor. And the door there leads to the washroom and a secret exit. Whenever there is an attack, you can escape through the passage. But today there is a renovation ongoing here, so the door is locked, so we can't see the room. Now, aside the bedroom, the living room, the washroom, and the secret exit, he had a dressing room as well. So, which means this whole area wasn't enough for one person. On our way out, there is a small room we will come across, which happens to be a dressing room for with one full window. So please let's have a look at the picture.
So, with precaution, the exit you're taking is slippery.
Oh,
so
okay.
you're advised to take your step in the middle.
Oh, okay.
No tips and no sidewalks. Dressing room.
Oh, this is the dressing room here?
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting juxtaposition with the last tour I went with was Mount Vernon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is,
180 degrees, right?
yeah, for real. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy we came here.
Officer's mess.
Alright, so we have two separate kitchens in here. We have the smaller one and the bigger one. Now the smaller one here was for the pot and the bigger one was for the Dutch. Now when the Dutch took over, because they were fighting among themselves, out of trust issues, they were afraid something in here might have been poisoned. So they abandoned the Portuguese kitchen, built their own here. Now the floor we are standing on today is the original floor. So from here, let's walk through the kitchen to see the Dutch reformed.
The original floor.
Yeah.
Some kind of, it's like modern technology.
Now, the expression up here, somewhat, there is written in Old Dutch. It says Zion is the resting place or the dwelling place of the Lord. So they believe whenever they are here, the Lord is with them, whilst others go down there fighting for their lives. So I ask this question, if truly they were here, worshiping, singing hallelujah, love your neighbor as yourself, whilst others were down there fighting for their lives, what message were they preaching out? Is it the gospel we know today or a different message altogether? So from here, let's see the service. Yeah.
My gosh.
Alright, so from here I'll give you time to take.
Jeremiah, come here.
Now remember, the stone house is where they kept the pregnant. This one on the stone house, the one with the brown roof, that's one of them. Now when you look up there, there is a white building called Fort St. Javi. It was built by the Dutch in 1665. 5 to watch over the castle. So soldiers will be up there watching over. Because of its position, when you are up there, you could see every part of Elmina. Aside the fort, they brought these cannons for self-defense. They load the cannons with gunpowder, cannon ball at the tip. They light the match at the tip. The fire gets into contact with the gunpowder. It moves the ball, hits the ship coming, creates a hole. Water enters. Aside the forts, these cannons, they had another way. They were protecting themselves. So let's come this way. Yeah, done. Alright, so we have the moats. The inner moat and the outer moat. Now they fill this moat with water. When it's full, the bridge over there is lifted, so no one can enter. That's another way. So that's why that's now the four square diagram you see down there is a compass, a sundial. They use this to tell time. A stick is placed at the middle where the shadow of the stick falls. Determine time from there. From here, let's take some few pictures, then we proceed.
Why did it take like the plan for like 2 or 3 months? Was it just there weren't boats going out every couple of weeks, or like why were people kept here for 3 months?
Right, so it's because of the movement of the ship. Because those days the ship wasn't too fast as today. So they spent about 3 to 4 months at the sea before getting to the new one. That's why the captives are being held in
Well, the Dutch were the first to enslave all of the English, the Portuguese.
before the Dutch. The English came in here, but they were using this as well as a slave. They used it.
I also heard that they were actually Africans who were part of this enslaving trade.
Alright, so before we leave, remember the castle was built by 155 years in the 1637. They were attacked by the Dutch. The Dutch came in, spent 235 years. 1872, the castle was sold to the British. They spent 85 years. Ghanaians took over in the year 1957 on the 6th of March when we gained independence. We are 67 years now. Elmina Castle today, as it stands, happens to be the largest, oldest, biggest castle in West Sahara, Africa, in terms of transatlantic slavery. It is 542 years. Now remember, slave trade is moving. Our slavery is now going in a modernized way. Today, child trafficking, human racism, they are all forms of slavery. The story today is not being open boldness or blaming white or the blacks, but rather for you and I to be cautious about how the enslaved Africans suffered in the dungeons. Never again should you and I allow such injustice to perpetrate against humanity. Martin Luther once said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The world today is not a better place for you and I, but when we come together, we will make this world a better place to live. On this note, That's why we need our participation.
Thank you.